Good evening and welcome to the March 9th, 2017 meeting of the Kern County Planning Commission, which I will call to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call roll?
Mr. Louie?
Here.
Mr. Babcock?
Here.
Ms. Garcia? Ms. Poole?
Here.
Mr. Sprague?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Oviatt? Mr. Denny?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Thank you. Next item is item B, Commissioner Member Announcements or Reports. Do we have any this evening? None. Seeing none, we'll move on to item C, which is the approval of the February 23rd, 2017 minutes.
Make your approved minutes.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no questions or changes, I'd make a move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Next would be item D, cases withdrawn or requests for continuances. Mr. Murphy?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
We have 3 cases this evening that are either withdrawn or request for continuance. The first is case number 1, CUP 1, map 41. The applicant is the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department. That application has been withdrawn, therefore there is no action for your commission. The second case, number 8, is CUP 24, map 165, number 34. The applicant is AT&T Mobility by Yukon Group. That recommendation is to refer back to staff. And the third case is number 9, conditional use permit number 4, map 165, 13. That applicant is also AT&T Mobility by Velaterra, and that recommendation is to continue until April 13th, 2017.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve items 1, 8, and 9 as read into the record by Mr. Murphy.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes, please.
Four ayes, one absent.
Thank you. Next, we move on to our consent calendar, which is item E. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These items on consent are scheduled before your Planning Commission, which are being recommended for approval by staff, and the applicant has been informed of any special conditions and has no objection. The hearing on these items may be expedited if no member of the commission or audience wishes to comment or ask any questions on the case. This evening we have 11 cases that are on consent. The first is case number 2, conditional use permit number 108, map 231. The applicant is AT&T Mobility by Velaterra Services. The project is located on the northwest corner of Gaskell Road on 80th Street West in Rosamond. The request is to allow a 70-foot tall monopine wireless communication facility with associated equipment shelter in an E 2.5 RS FPS district. The staff recommendation is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The second case on consent is case number 3. This is conditional use permit number 7, map 23122. The applicant is Robert and Michelle Slade. This project is located at 6225 Holiday Avenue in Rosamond. The request is to allow the retention of a cargo container and similar accessory structure in an E 2.5 RS MH district. There has been an addendum that is provided to your commission on this item. It was regarding a late comment that we received after the staff report was already distributed, and the comment letter indicated they had no opposition to the particular project. Therefore, there was no change in the recommendation. The recommendation before your commission is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next item on consent is case number 4. This is the Gaskell West Solar Project. The project includes a number of general plan amendments, zone change requests, and conditional use permits that would facilitate the development of a 125 megawatt solar facility. The project applicant is Recurrent Energy by Gaskell West LLC. The project is located, it's generally bounded by Holiday Avenue, 225th Street, Avenue A, and the Los Angeles Aqueduct. Your commission has also been provided an addendum for this project. The addendum included 3 comment letters we received after the staff report was prepared. They include a comment letter from the Tohono Indian tribes and 2 comment letters opposed to the project from adjacent property owners. In response, staff believes that the EIR is complete that all of the concerns were addressed that the Tohono Indian tribe brought up in the existing mitigation measures that were proposed. Regarding the concerns from the property owners, they primarily revolved around concerns over aesthetics and property values that would be as a result of their project. Staff believes that the EIR and mitigation measure program are complete and that all feasible mitigation have been incorporated, and that's why we're recommending this project stay on consent. There were no changes to the recommendation that is before your commission tonight on this item. The staff recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend to the Board of Supervisors to certify the environmental impact report, adopt the Section 15091 findings and Section 15093 statement of overriding considerations, adopt the mitigation measure monitoring program, approving the general plan amendments as requested, approve the zone changes as requested, approve the conditional use permits subject to the conditions, approve the memorandum of understanding agreement and recommend the Board of Supervisors chairman to sign, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next item on consent is Case 5. This is Conditional Use Permit 3, Map 231-27, Modification Number 1, Map 231-27. The applicant is AT&T Mobility by Yukon Group. This project is located at 1865 60th Street West in Rosamond. There are two actions before your commission. The first is conditional use permit to allow a 60-foot tall monopine wireless communication facility with the associated equipment shelter and 3 cargo containers. The second item is a zone modification to allow a reduced tower setback distance of 60 feet where 72 feet is required in an E2.5 RS district. An addendum was prepared and provided to your commission tonight for that particular project as well. Staff received an opposition letter from nearby property owners. Staff notes that the project is compliant with all federal and state regulations when it comes to these towers, and therefore did not have any recommended changes to the conditions or the recommendation before your commission tonight. The recommendation is to approve conditional use permit subject to recommended conditions, approve the zone modification subject to the recommended conditions, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. The next item is conditional use permit 7, map 196-16, zone variance number 4, map 196-16. The applicant is AT&T by Vance Pomeroy. This project is located at 1953 Highway 58 in Mojave. There are two actions before your commission tonight for this item as well. The first is a conditional use permit to allow an 80-foot tall baseball field light wireless communication facility with the associated equipment shelter in an R1 FPS district. And the second is a zone variance to allow a 62-foot setback from property line where a minimum of 120% setback from the property line is required, and to allow the baseball field light tower wireless communication facility where stealth design wireless communication facility is required in an R1 FPS district. Staff did provide your commission with an addendum on this project as well, as we received an additional letter after the staff report was prepared. That letter was received from the Mojave Air and Spaceport. They indicated that that project needs to file a Form 7460 with the FAA, which related to height and traffic safety. Based on that comment letter, staff has incorporated the appropriate condition, and therefore there is a revised recommendation before your commission tonight. The recommendation is now to approve the conditional use permit subject to the recommended revised conditions, approve the zone variance subject to the recommended conditions, and adopt the suggested revised findings as set forth in the draft resolution. Item 7 is zone change case number 351, agricultural preserve number 5, exclusion. The applicant is Kasi Detloff by Wiley D. Hughes. That project is located at 17443 Blackwell Village Drive in the Lost Hills area. There are two actions before your commission. The first is a change in zone classification from A to R1, or a more restrictive district, to facilitate the development of a residential tract. And the second is an exclusion of 10.445 acres from the boundaries of an agricultural preserve. The staff recommendation is to advise the Planning Commission to recommend approval of the zone change as requested, approve the exclusion as requested, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. Case number 10 this evening is conditional use permit 54, map 100, zone variance number 35, map 100. The applicant is Grimway Enterprises by Sheem Osech, and I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. This project is located at 4343 Shortcuts Lane in Buttonwillow. The two actions before your commission include a conditional use permit that would allow a 100-foot tall monopine wireless communication facility and associated equipment shelter in an A district. And second, a zone variance to allow the elimination of a slimline monopole or stealth design for towers constructed within 1 mile of another freestanding wireless communication facility in an A district. An addendum was prepared and provided to your commission tonight. Staff received a comment from a neighboring property owner that had a request to put a warning light on the tower. Staff notes that those lights are overseen by the FAA as they have the jurisdiction to determine whether or not a light is warranted or needed. Condition 5E included in this condition requires consultation and the appropriate look at the time the project is being constructed and going through the final building design process. Therefore, there were no changes recommended by staff at this time. The staff recommendation is to approve conditional use permit subject to the recommended conditions, approve the zone variance subject to recommended conditions, and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. Case number 11 is conditional use permit 18, map 56. The applicant is AT&T Mobility by Velaterra Services. This project is located at the southwest corner of Root Avenue and Prospect Avenue in the Wasco area. The request is to allow a 70-foot tall monopine wireless communication facility and associated equipment shelter in an A district. The staff recommendation is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. Case number 12 is conditional use permit 35, map number 144. The applicant again is Grimway Enterprises, Inc. The project is located at 12064 Buena Vista Boulevard in the Arvin area. The request is to allow a 61-foot tall monopine wireless communication facility with the associated equipment shelter in an A district. Your commission did receive an addendum prepared by staff tonight. We received a letter after the staff report was prepared from Dogger indicating that the project is located within an oil field. I would note for your commission that condition 6B has been incorporated in this project to address the discovery of any unknown oil resources or wells that are discovered during implementation of the project. Therefore, no change to the recommendation is being made by staff at this time. The recommendation is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. Case number 13, conditional use permit 28, map 79. The project applicant is AT&T Mobility by Velaterra Services. This project is located approximately 1/3 of a mile northeast of the intersection of Popular Avenue and 7th Standard Road in the Shafter area. The request before your commission is to allow a 70-foot tall monopine wireless communication facility with the associated equipment shelter in an A district. The staff recommendation is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. And finally, case number 14, the last item on consent tonight is conditional use permit number 56, map 123-1. The applicant is Raquel Hernandez. This project is located at 909 Castro Lane in Bakersfield. The request is to allow a daycare center for up to 48 children without extended overnight services in an R2 district. The staff recommendation is to approve in accordance with the recommended conditions and adopt the suggested findings as set forth in the draft resolution. That completes the reading of the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. For those of you in the audience, you've heard the reading of the consent calendar. If there is an item on this list that you have questions or concerns about, please raise your hand and tell me which number that is, and that will be pulled from the consent calendar and heard in its regular order. I'm seeing no hands. Commissioners? Okay, I would like number 4 voted separately, as I may have a possible conflict. So I ask that we vote on number 4 separately.
Okay.
Commissioner Poole.
Thank you.
Sorry, my mic was off. Thank you. I just wanted to put on the record that I met with the representatives of Recurrent Energy, item number 4.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no other changes, by this dais. I would make a motion to approve items number 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 as read into the record by staff, and look for a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes, please.
And then,
4 ayes, 1 absent.
Thank you.
and then we move on, Mr. Chairman, to item number 4.
Item number 4, please, yes.
Okay.
Just a second.
Do you have a statement to make or not?
No, I'm just going to abstain because I may have a possible conflict.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve item number 4 as read into the record by staff, and look for a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your votes.
Go ahead. Three ayes, 1 abstain, 1 absent.
Thank you. For those of you in the audience, your item has either been approved or will move on to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration.
Mr.
And we do
yeah.
have to read the notice of right of appeal.
For those members of the audience, just before you leave real quick,
Please, yes, would you, we have to
For-
read the notice of right of appeal.
I just want to make sure everyone is aware. For projects where the Planning Commission action is final, that action applies tonight to cases 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Those actions are subject to appeal to the Board of Supervisors by any interested person, and no development proposed by any application may be authorized until after the final date of appeal. An appeal may be filed with the Kern County Planning and Natural Resources Department located at 2700 M Street, Suite 100 in Bakersfield, with a filing fee of $540 on forms available at the Planning and Natural Resources Department.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Next item is letter F. This is public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the commission on any matter not on this agenda and over which the commission has jurisdiction. Is there anyone that would like to take part in this at this time? Speak to the commission this evening. Seeing none, we'll move on to, it looks like adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Okay, we stand adjourned.